Okay, so we have some slightly more difficult factoring questions here. If you look at question number 1, we have 3 terms. There's a coefficient here before the x square, and there's no common factor, so we can't common factor this out. And since we have a coefficient here, we cannot use the man method we did for trinomials in the previous questions as well. So basically, you could do this using the quadratic formula, but a simpler way to do it, if you look at the first term and the last term, you can notice they are both square rootable. So we can do a perfect square over here. So when you're doing perfect square, you make a bracket, you put a square outside it, and then you square root each term. So the square root of 9x squared is 3x. You always take the middle sign over here and put the exact same sign down here. And then the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so now we can solve this. It's basically 3x minus 2 equals to 0. So 3x will equal to 2. So x equals 2 over 3. Only one solution in any perfect square question. If you look at problem number 2, again we notice there's 2 terms. It's a negative sign and both the terms are square rootable. So in this case, it's difference of squares, 2 brackets. Remember, the signs inside are always opposite in difference of squares. The square root of 49x squared is 7x. And the square root of 16 is 4. So 2 solutions here, 7x plus 4 equals to 0, 7x minus 4 equals to 0. And we always have 2 solutions for difference of squares. If you look at problem number 3, again it's a trinomial. There's a coefficient here for this, so we can't use the man method. And if we try to look for a common factor, there's no common factor. So in the end, you can't use the man method that I've taught. There's another man method that you can use as well, but again, I'm not going to show that here. Instead, I'm just going to do the quadratic formula. Just x equals to minus b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That would probably be the simplest method to do this question. So I know that negative of negative 13 is positive 13. And I have plus or minus square root. Negative 13 squared is 169. Minus 4 times my a, which is 2, times my c, which is negative 7. And I have to divide that all by 2 times a, which is 2. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this inside part here into my calculator. So 169 minus 4 times 2 times negative 7, which is 225. And I'm also going to split the equation into 2 solutions. So I have x equals to 13 plus root 225 divided by 4. My second solution is x equals to 13 minus root 225 divided by 4. So I basically took the plus and minus, split it up into 2 different solutions. Again, I'm going to just put these in my calculator to find my final answers. So again, if I'm doing this in my calculator, make sure you include a bracket for the top. So 13 plus root 225 divided by 4 is 7. And then I'm just going to change this plus over here to a minus for my second solution. I get my second solution is negative 0.5. If we're taking a last look at this question now, it's pretty similar to the previous one, except we have terms on both sides. So what you want to do is you want to bring all the terms to one side. So 3x squared minus 16x minus 12 equals 0. And then you basically want to solve this again using your quadratic equation. So it's going to be x equals to 16 plus or minus root of 16 squared is 256 minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. And I'm going to split this into two different equations. So 16 plus square root. I'm going to put the inside in my calculator, and I get 400. My second solution is the same thing, 16 minus root 400 over 6. Again, I'm going to put these in my calculator. So 16 plus root 400 divided by 6. Got a problem. 16 plus root 400 divided by 6 is 6. So I know my first solution is x equals to 6. And I'm going to change that plus to a minus. I get x equals negative 0.667.